Welcome to the Heather Penny podcast, where our goal is to help you reach your potential by increasing clarity, building confidence, and engaging courage. Dr. Heather Penny is a leadership coach, trusted advisor, and admired author. I'm Christina Morales, a writer and marketer, and Heather is my dear friend, and she's my coach. So with each new month, we tackle a new theme, and this month we're going to focus on the power of friendship. Developing deep relationships is a crucial part of our human experience, but it's a complicated skill that we're not really taught how to develop. So today we're going to hone in on building trust. And Heather, when I was growing up, finding a best friend in elementary school through high school was a priority for me. And I had like 5. I don't know why. Finding a best friend, it meant that I belonged and I fit in. Is this a natural human need? Like, does everybody find that need to attach themselves to one person or a small group of people?
Yeah, it's a basic human need. We all have the need to belong. What can be challenging is holding that tension of belonging to a group and to individuals, but really ultimately belonging to yourself. You have to hold that balance at all times. So if we grew up in a home that is kind of challenging that ability to stay connected to your true self, you're going to over focus and overdevelop on what does everybody else think of me. So you're going to be more attached to everybody else because you haven't learned this attachment to yourself. And then clearly we can take anything to extreme. Over attachment to ourselves becomes this massive self-absorption, kind of a narcissistic perspective of ourselves in this world. So learning how to kind of hold that belonging to self and then belonging to connections and relationships, man, it's a tricky tension to hold as we're growing up.
You know, you just said something that was really interesting. So when I was younger, like I said, you're looking for that group, and it's almost like you're trying to find out, who do I want to be? Do I want to be with the cheerleaders? Am I one of the nerds? Am I an athlete? Who am I? And is that true? Like, we're trying to find our identity?
Oh, that's so great. It's so true. I even thought, am I a bad girl? So I tried on a bad girl persona for 2 weeks and I realized I'm not really a bad girl. It's depressing. I tried to swear and do all this stuff for 2 weeks and I realized it's not really me. I'm kind of a nice person. So I think you're constantly looking for, who am I and who we surround ourselves. Do we like what they're pulling out in us? And so I realized, no, I'm really a nice person. I'm a kind person. I want to be around nice people and kind people. I don't want to be in the mean girl group. I don't want to be in the group that's catty and pushing people out. I mean, that was way back when, in 12, 13 years old, realizing I'm going to try on some of these other things, almost like you're trying on an outfit and realize, ooh, I don't like that color on me. Ooh, that one I like on me. So you're right on how we kind of step into these conversations and these relationships of where we feel belonging is really connected to our sense of identity of who we are becoming.
Mm-hmm. And you also mentioned like growing up in our household. And I agree, like so much of who we are begins in the home and the relationships that we form there and observe there. So does our ability to trust and be vulnerable with outside friendships reflect how we were able to grow and interact with our family and our siblings and our parents?
Oh, yeah. The where we grew up in the home and what those dynamics are with our siblings, with our parents, definitely influence how we connect with relationships outside the home. Mm-hmm. So, I don't think I've come across one person who doesn't have pros and cons, doesn't have baggage. And I think what you just get to recognize is no matter how stable or unstable your home is, you do get to have a self-awareness to recognize what you got and what you didn't get. So then as you move into adulthood, you get to say, hey, I didn't get developed in this area and I really overdeveloped in this area. And I'll use myself as an example. Mm-hmm. You know, I grew up in the home with my father, a pastor, my mother, a therapist. They were kind of public figures in my community. So guess what I got? I got a lot of awareness on, what do you think of me? How can I help you? How can I serve you? How can I make you happy? That was a lot of where I got overdeveloped on, so to speak. Mm. I got underdeveloped in, hey, what do I feel? What do I think? what do I really want? I was underdeveloped in that. So, without pointing fingers on anyone to blame, it's more of just this awareness of what kind of home did you grow up in and where did you get really developed in? But maybe where did it get overdeveloped, and what did it cost you in getting underdeveloped? So some of my work in my adult world was to say, how do I get to turn toward me? How do I get to belong to me? How do I get to step into a friendship and say, here's what I want. Here's what's important to me. I had gotten way overdeveloped into, what do you want? Christina, how do I make you happy?
Mm-hmm.
How do I keep you as my friend? How do I earn your approval and your love? I got overdeveloped in that. So learning how to kind of course correct and taking back some of that empowerment to show up and have a more mutual 50-50 relationship was really a significant part of my friendship journey over my life.
So how do we figure out where we've been overdeveloped and underdeveloped in? Where does that show up? What does that look like? And how do we address it?
Well, unfortunately, it usually comes through pain and uncomfortable feelings. Hate to break it to you. I wish we could avoid those our whole life.
Yeah.
But, when I started realizing the friendship pattern of that I was creating and attracting, which was, let's just take you and me, for example, pretend like it's us. I would meet you and I would say, oh, she's so cool. She's so amazing. How do I make sure that she's happy with me and she stays my friend? That became my focus. Is that important to make sure I understand you and you're happy with me? Of course. But if that becomes my full focus, all I'm doing is doing that whole people pleasing tap dancing. Mm-hmm. So learning how to say, my true belief, I get to have mutual 50-50 relationships. I get to show up and say, Christina, how do I make you happy? Oh, and I know you want to make me happy too. So here's what I like, and it's that trust then we get to develop in a friendship where it's mutually satisfying. And then when conflict hits, we're able to say, okay, this is a little uncomfortable, but we both know that we care about each other and we both want the best for each other. So we get to say what maybe stings a little bit and trust that the other person's going to hear us and going to either apologize or course correct or recognize where they might have been missing in the friendship. So having that awareness to be able to step into mutual friendships allows the friendship to actually grow instead of one person constantly tap dancing, trying how to figure out how to manage the friendship, get the approval, and earn the love of the other person. Does that make sense?
It totally does. I am the same way. I'm such a people pleaser and I'm like me, be my friend. And I will do, I meet you the first time. And then the second time I'm like, well, let me make all of the desserts for your kids' party because I want them to like me and I want to show, look, I'm valuable and you want me as your friend.
Right. And I think you just get to kind of take that power back and say, oh, I am really good at caring for people, but I got to equally care for myself. Mm-hmm. Maybe I've stopped asking the question of what's important to me. And I've gotten into the same trap because I was so eager to feel love and approval. Mm-hmm. Why? Because again, that was kind of the home I grew up in, which was very outward focus. Make sure people are happy. Make sure the church is happy with you. Make sure people are happy with you. Make sure. And there was less focus on personal development of how are you feeling? Did I learn a lot about how to serve and give to other people? Yeah, I'm very grateful for that. Did I learn a lot about what the world is hurting and they need us to ask? How can I help? Yeah, I loved all that. But at times it really came at the cost of my own personal development. So I had to kind of learn that piece when I got a little older and kind of take that back and figure out ways to step into mutually satisfying relationships.
I think we grew up in the same household. You are my long lost sister because I grew up in the exact same way. And I like it because what you gave me this aha moment of it's not what we do, it's who we are. So we do all these things to like make people like us instead of just saying, hey, I know I'm awesome. I know I bring a lot to the table. And if you like it, great. If you don't, that's okay too, because I know who I am. And so we're trying to buy people's, I don't want to say buy, but in a way it's like buying people's love and approval.
It is. Yeah. You're trying to earn it because if you've been overdeveloped in caring what people think, you begin to make that your definition for what friendship is. but it's really setting up both parties to fail. They, healthy friendships really want to know what you want. Unhealthy friendships are thrilled that you're tap dancing for them. So guess what if we can't get this straight, guess what we're gonna keep attracting? That's on us. We're gonna keep attracting unhealthy friendships that are like, well, thank you for asking what I want. I'm going to give you my long list and make sure you keep complying. And then it sets up a toxic relationship. You can know if you're in an unhealthy relationship if you show up and say, you know what, I don't think I like this anymore. And they flip out on you, or they're angry, or they give you the silent treatment, or they're mad at you. It's painful, but that's very indicative of, oh my goodness, I've been tap dancing.
Yeah.
So it goes back to your question. You ask about it. I just say, so sorry. But usually we find out through a very painful experience where people are going, yeah, I don't like that you stopped tap dancing for me. And then everything kind of hits the fan, and then they wait for you to come back to tap dance, but you're going, no, I think I get to have a mutual satisfying relationship.
Yeah. And then I feel like it's my fault too, because like I do all these things and I serve. And then after a while, I get tired of serving. And I'm like, wait a minute, now I feel like I'm getting taken advantage of, but I set that expectation because I'm like,
Right.
what can I do for you? What can I do for you? And then they think, oh, that person loves to help me. And they don't really think of reciprocation. And so, and then I get offended, and then I'm like, well, I'm done with you because all you want to do is take advantage of me. But that's the expectation I set.
Right. We were given off this vibe that said, let me give to you to prove that I love you and that I'm lovable. And we get all upset because we start putting our boundaries down. They get upset. I think what we have to do is we have to take some ownership in it, saying, oh, I started creating that. That's on me. I sent off this vibe that I'm not going to tell you what I need or want, but I'm just going to keep asking you what you need and want. And I'm going to overserve you. And I'm going to create this codependent relationship. That's what I had to start really owning myself, to say, Heather, you get to break this cycle. You get to show up in mutually satisfying relationships. You get to figure this out. You got overdeveloped in one area and underdeveloped in the other. And honestly, some of it was through pain, but I think hiring people, like you've heard me say this over and over. I've got coaches, I've got mentors, I've got friends, really healthy friends. I've got counselors all on speed dial where I just need to run something by them. And I'll be being able to, even recently working with a counselor and him saying, oh yeah, I think you get to stop looking for belonging to everybody else and start looking at belonging to you.
Yeah.
And it was so profound that it shifted my whole paradigm, because I was being told, you're abandoning us, Heather, you're abandoning us. And I'm like, I'm abandoning you. I'm not abandoning anyone. I'm turning toward my life, and I get to turn toward my life unapologetically. Once I kind of had to sort that out, how did I create some of those relationships? Oh, I showed up and said, how can I make you happy? How can I serve you? How can I make you make you feel really good about me? That was my own neediness. That was my own, broken areas of saying, I want to feel worthy of this connection. Once I started really grappling with that, I realized, oh man, I get to show up in all my imperfections and in all of my giftedness and strengths and say, here's what I have to offer. Here's what I'm really happy to be a part of. And here's what I want from you. And learning how to have that confidently and courageously allows us to start creating stronger relationships, so that when conflict hits, it's not about this kind of devastating, upheaval of a codependent breaking pattern. And it becomes more of just a normal conflict that says, oh, I don't know if you're aware of this, but you kind of stepped on my toes. And the other person's able to say, oh my gosh, I had no idea. I'm so sorry. And you move on. So conflicts is really taxing and exhausting and terrifying in codependent relationships. That's another sign. Conflict, I didn't realize this, but conflict does not have to be as devastating as it often has been in my history, because I'm dealing with much deeper issues where people are feeling abandoned or left or rejected. Did I have a role to play in some of that? Certainly. But do I have the whole weight to carry of that? Oh, no, it's not mine to carry. So these are all things that you learn. I know I'm going super deep here.
No, I want it. Bring it.
I think it's to honor the complexities of friendships, and honestly, when I work with I work with both men and women, but when I work with women, this is one of the things that they're kind of secretly talking to me about, whether they're running a huge company at corporate America or whether they're, in the home, it doesn't matter. This is something they're grappling with for how to let friendships flex and grow, where to take responsibility, where to release. And truly, it starts with turning towards yourself and saying, I get to nurture my true self, and then I get to offer that in a friendship and see where it goes. That's total vulnerability. And here's the thing I had to own is, oh, Heather, you're hiding behind serving everybody because you're too scared to really show up and say, here's who I am. Can you love me for who I am? So once I realized that took courage for me and to live in that space of vulnerability. It's still a journey that I'm on. And I don't think you ever finish it, but the more self-awareness you have in it, the more you're able to show up really well and either restructure old friendships that have gone sideways or let go of old friendships and say, I don't think it's serving either of us. That's a challenging journey.
Wow. So we're talking about trust. So what I'm wondering is trust something that develops over time, or are some people just trusting and put everything out there? Like, is it who we are, or is it a skill we learn? Is it a defense mechanism when we don't trust? Like, is it innate or is it from outside ourselves?
Oh, wow. Well, again, if we go back to Erickson's developmental stages, psychologically, I can tell you there's a trust versus intimacy stage, I think, in your younger years. So, the research is showing us that it's developed in our younger years. So trust issues definitely can come out because of some of our younger years, 0 to 5, 0 to 10 even. And I think you get to honor some of those younger places. I'm going to go therapeutic here. My counselor helped me honor some of those younger places where maybe trust had gotten a little broken or confusing. But I think ultimately how we own that as adults is really the journey we want to take. We don't have to stay stuck on what happened to us in younger years. We get to really take back our adult years and say, on one hand, I get to honor maybe what happened and love in those spaces, but I also get to move forward in really powerful ways. And these are areas that don't have to keep me stuck. And I think that's a beautiful belief every human gets to hold. Nothing gets to hold you back. Do you get to honor it and respect it? Oh, certainly. You don't want to dismiss it or avoid it because that will hold you back. But do you have to over focus on it? No. Does it have to continuously be a part of who you are today? No. Is it a valuable part of your story? Yes. Does it deserve attention and respect and honor? Yes. Does it need resolve? Yes. But I think the exciting news is you get to live a big, beautiful life where nothing gets to stop you. And I think that's what I really try and offer to people, saying, hold that tension of honoring maybe how your life started out, get the resolve you need, but unapologetically go after for so much more and let your life become big and beautiful and thriving. Find whatever you need to build that trust. And I was just talking to some clients yesterday about it. And this was actually in a organization. Actually, I had 2 conversations. One was personal and professional yesterday, so I'll share them both. But this was in a professional setting, and I was working with 2 leaders, and there was an employee that just kept breaking down trust. And I said, well, there's a trust continuum. And I remember that one of the leaders said, Heather's probably not going to agree with me on this, but I don't trust him anymore. So because he's heard me talk so much about trust, he was hearing Heather believes in a blanket trust. And I said, oh, hang on. I totally agree with you. Trust has to be earned. Yeah. So the metaphor I use is a trust continuum. Think about 0 to 10, 0 being low and 10 being high. If someone is repeatedly doing things to you that's breaking down trust, you kind of have to figure it out on this continuum. And it moves down. If we're down to a 1 and it's trending in the wrong direction, you're going to have to do something about that relationship to self-preserve and get out of it. Or if it's a working relationship, how you manage an employee that's at a level 1 trust is very different of how you manage employees at a level 10 or level 5, level 8. So I'm giving permission to leaders to really monitor trust level. And then I'm coming alongside as a guide saying, okay, well, where's their trust level with this person? And if you're overly positive, it can go from a 1 to a 10. And so I'll work with leaders saying, wait a minute, did they earn that huge of a jump that quick?
Wow.
And sometimes they have, and sometimes they have not, and so we kind of unpack that a little bit. The other is true. It could go from they're level 10 one day and they're level 1 the next day. I go, wait a minute, did they earn that big of a reaction to your trust level? So it's less about a binary switch of I trust him, I don't trust him. I think that's what our world is getting stuck in. And it's more of like honoring trust is complex, but you get to watch how it increases and how it pulls back. And so even in personal life, and it was a personal example yesterday, had to do with friendship. And I said, well, how many times has this person done this to you that has felt like it's a sense of betrayal? And she was saying, well, it was the first time. So I said, oh, well, what's your trust level been within the past? And she's like, it's been a 10. I said, is there some mitigating circumstances around it that would cause her to do this? She goes, yeah, she's kind of going through a identity crisis. It's like this midlife identity crisis. I said, oh, she's probably not at her best. No, she's not at her best. And I said, okay, then you give grace and you kind of step back and recognize they're not trustworthy, not because they're deceitful or awful people. They're not really trustworthy because they're not at their best. So they're trying to survive life. So it's just this incredible complexity around trust building in relationships and your choices of how you want to move them up and down the continuum, what causes them to move up and down the continuum, being honest about whether they've earned the right spot on that continuum. This is the conversation we have to be having around trust.
That's so interesting because I'm a black and white person. It's either all or nothing. And then you're saying like how it can ebb and flow. Like it's not stagnant. We grow and we learn, and that's really interesting. So how do you talk to someone if the trust has been broken? What did you tell the friend to say to the other friend?
Well, then we decide whether she's ready to step in that conversation of whether the friend can have it or can handle it. In this situation, it felt like an unnatural, abnormal response that this friend was doing. When we started talking a little bit more about it, the friend she's got a third child. They're all under like the age of 4. And then we both started laughing like, oh yeah, remember those years? Like, we are not the best of people with toddlers, and we know it. We don't have a lot of natural patience, or we don't have a lot of natural energy outside of motherhood. So what she decided to do is just wait. And then I think they were getting together in 2 weeks and feeling it out of whether what I call a window of opportunity to step into that. So again, it's not this binary switch of, I felt betrayed by her, so I'm going to go tell her right now. Yeah. It was saying, okay, you could. That's always an option. Let me help explore that with you. Is she able to handle that? Will it go well? Can she hear you? And she was like, no, she can't. She's in survival mode. Oh, you know what? I don't think this was about me. I think I'm feeling betrayed because she said something about me that was kind of sloppy, but I think she was tired and exhausted, and it just got back to me from the wrong way. And yeah, I do have to confront it if I want to keep this friendship, but here's how I want to do it. I'm going to wait 2 weeks because that's when we're going to have lunch together. And I'm just going to feel it out to see if she understands what she did. So, again, the jury's still out. I don't know which way this is going to go, but I'm giving her the permission to explore it in a safe way for her and a safe way for this person. She may very well show up at this lunch and the friend is exhausted still, and she's going to go, you know what? It's not worth it. It's going to backfire badly. I just need to pull back. She might try and put it out there, and the friend goes, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And they're both better for it. And then the trust level gets to move up. She may put it out there, and the friend goes, well, who do you think you are? And starts shaming her, going, of course I didn't mean it that way. And you know what? I have the right to say it. Wow. Then I would say you push that trust level down really quick if you can't get hurt in something. So all of this, it's a very complex journey to take, but giving people the permission to have options on how to assess trust level and knowing when to step into it, and really if the relationship's worth it. That's always the next question I ask too, is I'm like, well, is the relationship worth it? Sometimes they go no, but they feel guilty for saying no. They're like, no, it's not really worth it. I only see them once a month and it was just a weird interaction and I don't have the energy to do it. And I'm actually, you know what? I'm not even going to see them anymore. And I go, well, doesn't sound like it's really worth it to confront them. I'm like, why spin your wheels there? And at the same hand, sometimes people go, it's not worth it for them, but it's worth it for me. I want to learn how to say it to someone. And this person, I don't care which way it goes. I just want to learn how to say the words. I go, well, that's valid too. So you can see that it's an individual basis conversation. And if we honor what we're feeling and where things are either keeping us stuck, is it avoidance or is it wisdom? I'm always trying to tell people that you're hesitating for a reason. Maybe it's wisdom. Don't speak up, but maybe it's avoidance. I mean, which one is it? Yeah. And everyone I work with, they know that I am lovingly honest. I was going to say brutally honest, but I'm like, I'm not brutally honest. I'm lovingly honest. And so we are able to joke about it because I know what it feels like to hesitate out of avoidance. And I also know what it feels like to hesitate out of wisdom. And I don't want someone accusing me of you're hesitating because you're avoiding, and I want to feel like people are helping me say, oh, you're hesitating out of wisdom, aren't you? Yeah, let's pause here for a minute. So again, I'm helping people listen to themselves and understand the options they have in front of them of why they might be hesitating in having that conversation that has to do with trust.
Oh, that's so smart. It's like we're talking about grace space a lot. It's showing grace to the other person. Okay, why did you say that? But it's also showing grace to ourselves. Do we really want to get involved in this conflict? And it's also, I love that it's not just like you hurt my feelings and I'm going to confront you. It's okay, let's pull back and let's just really analyze the situation and what's best for everyone involved, which is grace space.
Exactly. And how powerful. I was even just thinking of our marriage. 27 years of marriage, there are seasons we are flying high. It's funny, it's easy, it's wonderful. But there's seasons when I am exhausted, he's exhausted, and we got to deal with 3 issues in front of us, and neither of us want to, and neither of us have the energy to do it. And we're running on fumes, but we have to because we're the only adults in the home. So we got to like suck it up and do it. It doesn't make us really fun with each other. So we have to then kind of pull apart and refuel a little bit because we're both a little bit more introverted driven. And I do better in a relationship if I can have some time to refuel. He does better when he has time to refuel. We have to be aware of the fact when we're trying to, quote, help each other too much, we're not helping each other. It's becoming a running joke. I'm like, he said something about like, how did you know to leave me alone? I really had to work through some things. And he said this to me last week. And I go, I didn't know to leave you alone. I just was too fried to help you out. I knew you were struggling, but I was like, sorry, pal, I got nothing to give. Good luck was really what I was thinking more of. I got enough on my plate in front of me to figure out. So we were laughing about that, but it's really giving respect to what we need to trust build. And sometimes what we need to trust build is to pull apart.
Perfect. Well, that's all the time we have today.
What?
I know. I want to go back and listen to this and write a ton of things down. And my sister, Jenny, this is for you. I'd like to dedicate this one because this is so us. So I
love Jenny too. Yeah, let's dedicate this to her.
Okay, Jenny, this is dedicated to you because we're both people pleasers and we both have the same issue. So we're going to take this and listen to it 1,000,000 times.
And we might need to bring Jenny on the show.
Oh, yeah, that'd be awesome. Join us next week when we talk about the power of friendship, freedom versus control. Please subscribe to the Heather Penny podcast and leave a review. And for questions, comments, and resources, visit our new and improved website, heatherpenny.com, which is live now. Remember to live your best life. You have to live intentionally. Have a great day, and we can't wait for you to join us next time. Thank you, Heather.
You're welcome. Take care, everyone.